Group here. We're celebrating National Engineers Week this week. It's one of our favorite weeks of the year, and I've actually asked Thomas Ruff to sit down with me today and discuss some engineering projects. He's in our traffic analysis and planning group here in Richmond, and Thomas has been with the firm for 12 years. It's a long time. We're really excited to feature him. He's an extraordinarily qualified and certified engineer in Virginia, and has a ton of experience with traffic calming and traffic analysis, and what exactly that means. He's going to explain to us. So I'm going to let Thomas introduce himself, and then we actually want to talk about a really cool project that his group has been working on for quite some time. And Thomas has been with the project for quite a while. It's the Richmond Connects project. So Thomas, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us your background, your history, what you do with the firm, everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, thank you. Appreciate it, Lillian, and excited to, talk about engineering and the work that we do. So yeah, but like I said, I've been with Timmons 12 years and it's been great. I've been working mostly under traffic analysis work, but have really broadened out and handled a number of different transportation planning and transportation engineering kind of design projects over those 12 years. So really, it's been great. It's kind of morphed into the role of taking projects, planning them out, which is going around doing safety studies, preliminary reviews of what's wrong at a location or how can we improve, pedestrian or bicycle access, and plan out where those projects should happen. And then we get to do the analysis, figure out kind of how do we get that implemented, and then finally going and doing the design. So it's a great kind of start to finish, and that's really been a lot of fun to do with our local government clients, and even for a lot of our other private clients and other folks is being able to help from the beginning to the end, and then going out and using that using that bike lane, or using some of those infrastructure improvements as we go.
Absolutely. I know that you work really closely within kind of the subset of traffic analysis and planning, that traffic calming. You and I have actually, I'm just recalling, you and I have actually worked on, a blog together a little while ago that features a larger project in Richmond that you had a huge hand in, which is the bike lane down Floyd Avenue from the Museum District to the Fan. What a cool project. I remember working on that with you. That was great.
Yeah, the Bike Boulevard was a great project. One of the first, really the first one that the city had ever done, and that was we really converted probably around 25 to 30 intersections into either roundabout traffic, kind of small traffic circles. There were share roads or some bike lane areas, kind of modified, raised crosswalks, speed tables, kind of all encompassing, and then also the city pushed to lower the speed limit on that street. So it was all encompassing. It was saying, hey, look, this Floyd Avenue is going to be where we want bicyclists to be. And the goal there was, if you make it super inviting for them, you'll move them off of maybe, Main Street or Grove, right? Move them off other streets that were a little more heavily trafficked. So you kind of decrease cars, increase bikes, and then swap that for some of the side streets. So I think it worked out really well. It's been, I think seeing people use that quite a bit. There's a large community of folks that go to VCU and throughout the Fan and all that to get around. It was a great project to be a part of.
That's awesome. And so in a project like that, from a more technical standpoint, what are some of the tools and processes you use to, to go in and find all of the information that you need to be able to then prescribe a solution for the city? Like, what does that look like for you?
Sure. So I would say the starting point for a lot of our work is it starts with safety. It starts with what's going on there. Are people speeding? Kind of those two, they're hand in hand. People, the speed of a vehicle, and then also, for a bike lane or a pedestrian type project, it's what is the speed of the vehicle and how are they interacting with bicyclists or pedestrians. And so that's really the starting point, is how can we, are there any existing issues that we need to take a look at, that they're the basis for what we want to fix. And then after that, it's also, are we creating the environment and creating a connection to the rest of the corridor. So City of Richmond is very similar to that, but I would say many of our other, as we're looking out, you look out further and further from that urban core, some of the other localities that we work with maybe are a little more rural or a little more suburban. And as you work with that, it's not just about creating a sidewalk for the sake of that. It's saying, how can we make that sidewalk or that bike lane or whatever the improvement is have value at the same time as improving safety. So making sure it creates a connection, or it's in an area where people are going to use it. Again, the more it gets used, the more the public sees it, the more they're saying, okay, that's useful, and then you can continue to grow that. So that's kind of the goal there, is making sure it's a continuous network. You don't want to do an improvement and then people, you end up stopping at the very next intersection. Sometimes budget constraints are there, but hopefully trying to make connections is a big part.
Absolutely. Connections for the community, but also literal connections, because these are roadways that we're talking about, roadways and sidewalks, roundabouts. And that's all very important to the infrastructure of a city and how it functions for the community. So it's, I kind of pride in our engineers, and I hope that you take pride in your own work, Thomas, but being able to take a step back and see what our engineers actually are doing for the communities, building up these relationships between neighbors, and the success of an infrastructure of a city is really, really cool to watch it. So with that in mind, actually, I want to talk about the Richmond Connects project, because we're talking about building up a community and making connections, and this project is so robust and in a lot of ways with that in mind. So give us a little bit of an overview of what the project is.
Sure, absolutely. No, it's a great project to be a part of, and Tim's group, is really happy to have an opportunity to be a part of the planning process for the city. And Richmond Connects, in its most basic form, is how do we develop a strategic multimodal transportation plan. So what does that mean? Really, it helps. There was the overall city's master plan that was created in 2 years ago, and part of that, it kind of lays out what the city wants the city to look like over the next 20, 30 years. And but it really, that is more focused on zoning and what types of elements and buildings and things we want in certain places. But it really doesn't give a lot of information towards transportation specific. And so the transportation plan now takes all of the requests from the overall master planning and tries to put that out. In this case, it's kind of, how can we identify projects or strategies or different elements that the city can invest funding in to improve the environment. So that could be, do you invest more in transit? Do you invest more in bike lanes or walking? Do you invest more in lanes, just lanes for traffic? But it also can be where we put new connections. How do we improve safety? How do we make it so that businesses can function with different access for large vehicles and freights? And how do we address kind of a wide range? And so that's really, that's the goal. But within that goal, the process, and we've been instructed by the city, and the city takes it very, very seriously, is that this is an equity-centered process to identify and prioritize those projects. We know that the city and past transportation decisions have created injustices that have harmed people of color, low-income communities, and other marginalized groups, and those injustices are built into our transportation network. And so through this project, the goal not only is to create new projects that will help the safety and help people get around and help you access parts of the city, but also, where can we spend money to make sure that the city is equitable, that people can, you can be anywhere in the city and you can feel confident that you are a part of the city. You don't feel like you're cut off, you're one section that's not a part. And so that's been a very humbling experience to be a part of, to be honest. I'm not, so I am, it's something that really needs to occur. And so this has been kind of an eye-opening experience learning. It's a very data-driven process, but also we've gone out, we've had numerous community meetings, focus group meetings, and continuously it's a very publicly engaged process. So this is not something that's taken lightly. It's a almost 18-month process to make sure that there, at the end of the day, we've got a plan that serves serves everyone in the city of Richmond.
Absolutely. Taking a step back to address those concerns that have been put in place by predecessors, that, we're moving past that. We need to move past that. And it is about equity. It's about, we talk about inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This project is, it's just going to support that mission wholeheartedly. And, when we talk about inclusion, it's not just about race or gender or age. It's about access to resources that our communities require. And so transportation equity is huge for that. And it's really neat, too, you had mentioned that the project is data-driven. Our geospatial technology group is working really closely with you on this project as well. What a really cool cross-pollination opportunity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've loved, I love GIS, love data, and but it's great to have kind of the staff we have in-house that can manipulate and take pieces of information. We've been able to, I can't even begin to describe how much data is involved here, just kind of putting it all in one place. And then that allows kind of our team and the engineering and the planning team to take the data, and it's all together. We can start kind of analyzing it a little deeper, instead of being separate parts, or we each look at it with our own lens. It's kind of all together. So we've definitely are indebted to our GIS folks, and they've created a lot of cool, publicly shareable, the website. There's a website for Richmond Connects that has a lot of this information, and you can kind of see just how much information is out there and how this process is going.
Absolutely. I will be sure to include the link to the project online in the description for this once it's posted. So in the spirit of National Engineers Week, I want to kind of take a little bit of a step, into your past just for a few minutes, because we're looking towards the future and you have all of these amazing projects in your pipeline. Tell me a little bit about how you got here as an engineer and what's next for you even further into the future.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was whatever traditional, as you say, went to a 4-year engineering school, went to UVA. And when I graduated, I knew I wanted to do something in the transportation kind of government realm, and Timmons Group was hiring at the time. And so my first few years was really spent doing almost all design work. I kind of learning those CAD and MicroStation, and designing sidewalks and turn lanes, traffic signals. So really got a feel for how to do the hard design, and work through a number of different projects. And then over the years, our clients needed more analysis and traffic and safety analysis. And so I kind of grew into that, and it helped to have a background of design, and kind of I've really, spent a large portion of my time doing that, helping out with those kind of safety and planning projects, and then slowly have moved into, I think, a little bit more into the realm of doing what is more kind of transportation planning. I wouldn't say that I was lucky enough. I got my I'm a certified planner now, and that's really just because of some of the projects we're doing. I don't know if I'm ready to call myself a planner, but I am still an engineer, and I but I want to bring a little bit of that world together. And so really, I think that's where my next hopes and goals are. I mean, we've got major projects both in the Richmond area and around the state of Virginia. There's the Fall Line Trail project. That's a great project from both planning that out and laying it out, and then there's the future of other trails. There's 3 Notch Trail in Albemarle County, and a great number. So it's both how do we get to more of those? How do we create a better environment? How do we create those projects at the beginning, and then how can I find a way to work on them in the end? Because that's always the fun part. It's kind of watching it go from just an idea to on in the ground. So it's good.
That's awesome. So eloquently said. You answered 2 questions. I realized after the fact that I asked 2 questions. How did you get here? Where did you come from? And then where are you headed? And so well spoken. So Thomas, it's fantastic to learn your story, and I'm really happy that we have the opportunity to share it with our online audiences as well. Again, it's National Engineers Week, and you were one of the first people that came to mind too, because we have worked together, like I said, and I personally find infrastructure absolutely fascinating, but especially the traffic and transportation world, because I think it's one of those pieces of engineering, of civil engineering, that we use every single day as citizens in a society. And some people might not understand the background or have ever been exposed to the background and what that means.
As I always jokingly say when I introduce myself at parties or to people that don't know me, they always, when they find out I'm a traffic engineer, the first thing you say, right, is hey, this one place that I really hate, or they always have an idea. And so again, traffic and transportation, it's a part of everybody. You're doing it, you're moving every day, and so in some way, whether you're driving, biking, walking, you're moving, and so it is fun to be a part of those solutions and being part of that. And it's a very, you have to make a connection with people. And I really enjoy doing that, is like learning what people want to hear, learn what they want to see improve, because that makes our job better. And then it's a lot of fun when it's done, because, you get to go out and see it and hear people talk about it, good or bad, and really get to enjoy kind of seeing it out in the world, which is just fun to be a part of the infrastructure world.
Absolutely. Well, we're really grateful for the engineers that make it possible. Thomas, thanks for joining me today. And I will absolutely be sure to stick a link for the Richmond Connects project in the description for this discussion, because it's an incredible project. And, we're, like you said, we're still in the planning phase of it, but I know that the City of Richmond, the municipality itself, but also the people and the communities here will be hopefully very grateful for the opportunities that it provides when it's complete. So very cool to feature it.
No, very happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. I'd love to get the word out.
Fantastic. All right. Well, happy National Engineers Week. Stay tuned with Timmons Group for the week. We've got a lot of other really cool features planned. And thank you, Thomas, for joining me.
Thank you.